Colorado. People were delighted to see so many elk at one time. One driver counted more than 100 of the magnificent creatures. This is a traffic jam, Rocky Mountain style.
Staff members at the Baton Rouge Zoo are pretty excited and amused by their newest resident, a male reticulated giraffe who is still getting used to those long legs. The new little guy's parents are 13-year-old Rowan and a very attentive 6-year-old mom, Rosie. The birth marks the 20th giraffe born at the zoo and the first since 2001.
And finally, a magpie lives up to her reputation, imitating sounds. This one decides to mimic an emergency siren. Magpies are considered one of the most intelligent animals in the world and one of only a few non-mammal species able to recognize itself in a mirror, though this sound could get old after a while.
And that's this week's edition of the News Hounds Now Update.
I think that would get old.
That's incredible, though.
That's our time for now. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
Right now, the CDC has moved Wisconsin from the low to high flu category as the number of cases spikes. We'll tell you why this year's flu season is strained from the norm.
And we're looking into how tensions in the Middle East could impact gas prices after a U.S. airstrike that killed a top Iranian general.
Plus, we're looking ahead to a major construction project that will cause headaches for drivers on Madison's west side. What you should know to prepare.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
Thanks for staying with us at 5. Eric will be back on Monday. We begin with breaking news tonight from the Channel 3000 Alert Center.
Police say some people are stuck inside of an Illinois bank with an armed robber inside. You're looking live right now at the Heritage Credit Union in Rockford. Of course, this is about 90 miles northwest of Chicago. It is unclear right now if there are customers or employees inside. The police there say that there are no known injuries right now. The chief there says he hopes to resolve this situation peacefully and soon, but the SWAT team did respond around 2:30 this afternoon, so this has already been going on for a couple of hours and more. We'll have updates as this story develops over on Channel3000.com.
The Wisconsin Department of Health Services is urging people to take measures to avoid catching the flu this year after hospitalizations triple past years.
Today, DHS released new numbers that show more than 450 hospitalizations and 11 deaths due to complications from influenza are happening right here in Wisconsin. Gabriela Bucara talked with local physicians about why this flu season is a bit unusual. Gabby?
Wisconsin is now in the red as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention is reporting a high activity level of influenza-like illnesses in the state. Local health physicians say it can get worse before it gets better.
Best thought would be that we're still going to be seeing it rise before we see it fall. Generally, the flu season lasts anywhere between 4 and 12 weeks, with 8 kind of being the average. So I would imagine we're going to remain pretty high throughout January, but we'll see.
DHS reports a rise in admissions to intensive care units for respiratory illnesses, a main symptom of the flu. Dr. Joseph McBride says this year they're seeing the more unpopular strain.
Oftentimes there's different strains of influenza too, and this year is a little bit atypical. Our most predominant strain that we're seeing is influenza B. Which is sometimes more of a mild strain. It's sometimes strains that we can even see in the summertime, but that's the predominant one that's causing severe disease here in Wisconsin, the United States, currently right now.
While he says it is unusual, there is only subtle differences between influenza A and B.
But really, each year, each strain is a little bit different itself, and they generally cause the same type of illness.
McBride says the best way to prevent the illness is by getting the flu shot, but there are other ways to stay well.
Those hand hygienes, trying to keep people quarantined to the best of your ability, and then a little bit of luck, because it's really challenging, especially when the whole households get it.
And if you have any symptoms, stay home from work and school to avoid spreading the illness.
Young children, elderly, and those who are sick can be the most severely affected by influenza, so it's important to keep distance if you are showing symptoms of the flu.
Reminders. Thank you, Gabby. Officials at Children's Hospital in Milwaukee say they are seeing a nearly 9,000% increase in cases this year. 9,000. 829 pediatric flu cases reported in December. 46 required hospitalizations. In December of 2018, there were just 9 flu cases with 4 hospitalizations.
Let's check on weather now. All is quiet as we head into the weekend, but maybe a chance for a few flurries tonight. Let's check in with Gary.
Yeah, and the best chances will probably be west of Madison. Right now, we've had a mild but cloudy day, not just as mild as yesterday. Temperatures have been in the middle 30s, but you can see those clouds pretty widespread across much of the Midwest. There are some thicker clouds out to the west where there are some snow showers and flurries. The snow basically will just kind of skim southwestern Wisconsin, and areas east of Madison may miss out on the flurries altogether. High temperatures today, upper 30s. That might have been early this morning. We're at 32 degrees right now. Temperatures are in the low to mid 30s through much of southern Wisconsin. By tomorrow morning, look for the flurries to end. Temperatures will drop into the middle 20s. Tomorrow should be a partly sunny and pleasant day with a high temperature of 34. But I'll take a look at a windy and milder forecast as we head towards Sunday.
All right, thank you, Gary. Developing tonight, Milwaukee police have released information about a person of interest in a hit-and-run crash on Christmas Eve. Police are trying to locate 44-year-old Manuel Salazar Gutierrez. Police say he has several tattoos, including Zacatecas, across his abdomen. The victim, 36-year-old Jamie Hansen, was hit and killed while she was walking her dog. She was a popular bartender at the Milwaukee Broad House.
Federal prosecutors have charged a high-ranking New York City education official in a Wisconsin sex crime case. Officials say David Hay allegedly used a dating app to set up a meeting for sex with someone he thought was a 14-year-old boy living in Neenah. That person was actually an undercover investigator. Hay was fired from the New York City's Department of Education after his arrest on Sunday. He's also accused of possession of child pornography. Thousands of American troops will head to the Middle East after a U.S. airstrike killed a top-ranking Iranian official.
Qasem Soleimani was Iran's top security and intelligence commander. The general orchestrated decades of terrorist actions in the region. U.S. intelligence had been tracking him for days. President Trump spoke about the airstrike for the first time this afternoon, saying that the airstrike he ordered will stop a war, not start one.
Soleimani was plotting imminent and sinister attacks on American diplomats and military personnel, but we caught him in the act and terminated him.
The president ordered the operation without the approval of Congress, prompting mixed responses from lawmakers.
That includes those representing Wisconsin. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson released a statement saying Iran, the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, has been escalating its malign actions for years. It is time for Iran to de-escalate and end its terrorist acts and use of proxies. U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin acknowledged in a statement that General Soleimani was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of Americans. But she said it's good that he is gone. However, she writes, the unilateral action further escalates conflict in the Middle East. She wants the president to explain to Congress and the American people plans to de-escalate tensions and, quote, protect our troops and diplomats in harm's way. Many are now wondering how these rising tensions will affect us here, particularly when it comes to gas prices.
AAA says it's too early to tell. Our Amanda Quintana is here with what we should expect to see in the next couple of days. Amanda?
Yes, AAA says there hasn't been an immediate impact on gas prices, but experts are closely watching to see what changes. Right now, there is concern, though, that's pushing the price of crude oil up within the global markets. But that hasn't trickled down to actual prices at the pump just yet. Nick Jarmus with AAA says that increase won't trickle down unless oil prices stay up for about a week.
If the situation escalates to the point where it does begin to actually impact oil production or distribution, getting the oil out of the Straits of Hormuz into other areas of the world that need it, remains to be seen.
About a fifth of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. Even though not much of that ends up in America, Jarmus says any issues with distribution in the Middle East will have an impact here. But right now, he says this is still a wait-and-see situation.
Amanda, thank you. Investigators are waiting for the weather to clear in Kauai so they can send a recovery team to retrieve the wreckage of a tour helicopter that crashed last week. All 7 people on board were killed, including Madison residents Amy Gannon and her 13-year-old daughter Jocelyn. Normally, investigators take photos and detailed measurements to determine the cause of crashes, But an NTSB spokesman says the agency believes it's safer to remove the wreckage from the difficult terrain.
A group of Delta Airlines employees is suing Dodgeville-based Land's End, saying their uniforms made them sick. The suit filed by more than 500 employees claims the uniforms introduced last year can cause breathing problems, fatigue, and rashes. The suit also claims that tests conducted by employees found high levels of chemicals and heavy metals in the uniforms, including formaldehyde and mercury. Flight attendants and some ground workers do wear those uniforms. Land's End told CBS News the company does not respond to ongoing litigation. In Rock County, Beloit Police will have additional impaired driver enforcements throughout the month of January, according to a release. This is happening this coming Saturday, along with next Saturday, Friday, January 17th, and Saturday, January 25th. The increased patrols will have zero tolerance for drivers under the influence of alcohol, illegal drugs, or prescription medications. They're also checking for seatbelt use.
Well, if you hate driving through construction zones, this will not be your favorite story today. Fitchburg is preparing for a major construction project on one of its most heavily traveled roads.
City engineers say it will probably be the worst experience drivers have had in that area, and it's expected to last 2 years. Jamie Perez joins us live on Fish Hatchery Road, where this project is expected to happen. And Jamie, tell us a little more about what we can expect.
So starting this spring, they're taking all 6 of these lanes and scaling them all the way down to 2 lanes, one going northbound, one going southbound. The entire project will impact about 8 intersections all along Fish Hatchery. They say if you plan to drive on this road when the construction is happening, plan about 30 minutes just trying to get through 1.5 miles of this stretch of road. Now, all of this will cost the city about $22 million. They're repaving the roads, putting in new traffic lights, adding some plants and decorative elements, replacing retaining walls, replacing storm sewers, upgrading pedestrian and bike infrastructure, and that's just to name a few. The one interesting part of this upgrade is that in order to do some work on the edge of the Nine Springs golf course, which is included in those plans, they have to take some legal action in the Dane County Circuit Court to get permission because the changes that they plan violate a 30-year-old deed restriction.
We'll be putting in a bicycle overpass next to Fish Hatchery Road for the pathway and include some lighting on there. So we're asking for an exemption or a change to that deed restriction that would allow the city to put the pathway in and light that path.
Now, some of you might be asking, why is this taking 2 years? Well, they originally planned that it would only last 1 year, but it actually saved the city about $5 million to stretch it out to 2. So expect some major delays within the next 2 years, again, starting spring, but some definitely needed upgrades. The city tells me that they haven't had a project this big on Fish Hatchery Road since 1992.
Been a while. All right, Jamie Perez reporting from Fish Hatchery Road. Thanks so much, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie. Next at 5, it's not quite warm enough to do a lap around the Capitol Square. So in the meantime, the farmers market is moving into the newly renovated Garver feed mill. We'll have a preview when we come back.
And there's a warning about the way you write your checks this year. We'll tell you why you might want to tack on a couple extra digits than you normally do. Speaking of money, Land's End stock is slightly down tonight following the lawsuit from Delta employees. Overall, the Dow is down 234 points. The Nasdaq is down 71 and the S&P 500 down 23 on the day. We'll be back after this. Abbreviating the year 2020 may be a time saver, but it could be a costly mistake. A Facebook post from a police department in Maine warns that doing that could actually open the doors to fraud. Officials say dating documents or checks with just 20 makes it easy for scammers to change the date. For example, someone could alter your 20 to, say, 2019 and then claim you're late on payments or not meeting an obligation. Officials advise writing out the full year 2020. New guidelines for nutrition labels are now in effect. As of January 1st, the FDA now requires labels on packaged food to include up-to-date scientific information, including information about the link between chronic diseases and diet. The rule immediately applies to manufacturers who sell more than $10 million a year in food products. Those who don't meet that threshold do have until 2021 to comply. Well, the Dane County Farmers Market is kicking off its late winter market tomorrow.
This year, the market has a new home at the Garver Feed Mill. You can choose from Wisconsin fruits, veggies, cheeses, meat, and bakery items, and a lot of other items at the winter market as well. Visitors are asked to bring cash, if you can, and your own tote bag to help reduce the use of plastic bags. For the past 15 years, the late winter market has been held at the Madison Senior Center. Organizers say they're excited to be in this newly renovated space with high ceilings and natural light, plus a rich history.
We're excited to come here in part because of the amazing agricultural heritage of the space. So it really was a feed mill as well as a sugar beet factory. And there's something just really exciting about being able to come to a space that has such a rich agricultural history and then bring a farmer's market here.
Now, the market runs from 8 until noon tomorrow. Garver Feed Mill has more than 100 free on-site parking spots. There's also street parking, and there are spots available at nearby public parks. We have all of this information on our website, channel3000.com.
Let's turn it over, though, to Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti with a look at that forecast. Gary, you're now saying that most of the snow probably going to miss us.
Yeah, you can see this on high-resolution Doppler radar. Some very light snow showers starting to cross the Mississippi River into parts of Vernon and Crawford County, just about ready to move into Grant County around Prairie du Chien, southward toward about Cassville. But you can see the swirl in this little storm system that's going to pass mainly to the south and west of Wisconsin. So the bulk of the accumulating snow will fall over northeastern Iowa and just clip far southwestern Wisconsin. In fact, the visibilities right now in that little band of heavier snow dropping below a mile in a few spots. Waterloo, Iowa is actually down to a quarter-mile visibility last hour in a burst of heavier snow. But the computer model forecast showed just a couple tenths of an inch of snow out toward the Mississippi River. Any more significant accumulating snow staying to the west, but it'll be enough to cause some slippery roads if you are traveling to the west and south tonight. There are some winter weather advisories in effect for parts of northeastern Iowa until 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. Otherwise, 3 things you need to know in the forecast. It'll just be mainly cloudy tonight with a snow shower or flurry chance mainly west of Madison. Tomorrow, we'll see above normal temperatures for this weekend. Highs will be in the mid-30s for tomorrow, and the average high should be in the upper 20s and will be around 40 degrees on Sunday, but it'll also be windy on Sunday as well. Could see some wind gusts in the 25 to 30 mile per hour range. Live view from the Edgewater Skycam downtown Madison. It's been a cloudy day today. Temperatures haven't moved very much. High 37, that was actually early this morning, low 31, and right now we're at 32 with mostly cloudy skies. Winds out of the north-northwest at 5 miles per hour, giving us a wind chill of 27 degrees. You know, the days are now starting to lengthen, not by a lot, but now that we're in early January, we're adding about 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight each week. You can see the sunrise this morning just before 7:30 a.m. and the sunset now at 4:34 p.m. But looking at the temperatures over the next 10 days, they're going to stay above normal. Average high temperature goes from 27 to 26. We're going to see temperatures in the 30s and a couple of days in the 40s, including Sunday, and then again as we head into Thursday of next week. 8 to 14-day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center calling for above normal temperatures from Wisconsin to the south and east, below normal temperatures in the western part of the country, and an active storm track, especially over the southeastern part of the country where they don't need any more rain, but above normal precipitation expected there, as well as the Midwest, with the highest probabilities will be to our south and to our west. So our forecast for tonight calls for mostly cloudy skies. Could be a snow shower or flurry, but the best chances will be west of Madison. Low dropping to 26. Tomorrow should be partly sunny and pleasant. High temperature topping out at 34 degrees. As we look at future track, lots of clouds overnight. Again, the best chances for snow showers and flurries will be south and west of Madison. Low temperatures in the middle 20s. Tomorrow will turn partly sunny. High temperatures will be in the middle 30s. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow evening. It'll turn cloudy by early on Sunday morning as a warm front approaches. Low temperatures drop into the mid-20s and maybe a few flurries Sunday morning. And then we clear out and temperatures get up to around 40 degrees by late afternoon on brisk westerly winds. Again, snowfall amounts tonight, very minimal, mainly well west of Madison. 7 to 10 day forecast, temperatures stay above normal. We've even boosted the high temperatures for Tuesday and Wednesday back up into the lower 30s. Then we'll see a 42 on Thursday. A little cooler, but temperatures still in the mid-30s through next weekend. As we take a look at first alert traffic right now, here's the view at the Beltline at Park Street. Traffic moving pretty steadily in both directions. Just like yesterday, I think a lot of people are just taking an extended vacation after the New Year's holiday. Right now, we're seeing traffic moving pretty steadily in the 55-mile-per-hour range eastbound on the Beltline. Also, even up into the Middleton area. There were some delays earlier, but those have since dissipated. Right now, a 16-minute trip in either direction on the Beltline from University Avenue to the interstate and back. Heading out of Madison right now, 24 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990 from the Beltline southward. 17 minutes to Sauk City on US 12 and 16 minutes on East Washington Avenue and US 151 to Sun Prairie. That's your News 3 Now First Alert traffic.
Thank you, Gary. Speaking of driving, we are talking about electric vehicles after the break. We'll tell you what country has more charging stations than gas stations when News 3 Now at 5 continues.
General Motors says the 40-day strike from mid-September to the end of October hurt sales. The company says it sold 25% fewer vehicles to dealerships in the last 3 months of the year, but sales by those dealerships to customers only fell by 6.3% in the quarter because GM stocked up on inventory ahead of the strike. When all of the accounting is done, GM expects the strike to have reduced profits by $2.9 billion. Well, speaking of cars, the move to green energy is shifting into high gear in Britain.
The UK now has more electric car charging stations than gas stations. Cindy Palm reports from London on the move to go electric.
Tony Kalakudis drove a diesel cab for 22 years. This year, he made the switch to electric.
We need to clean up the air, so I think having an electric vehicle is definitely a step in the right direction.
But finding a place to plug in is still tricky.
Talking to my friends who are cab drivers, we do have a problem finding a place to charge.
It's starting to get easier. The UK now has more electric vehicle or EV charging stations than gas stations, although the number of gas pumps at those stations far outnumber electric chargers overall. As part of his re-election campaign, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is promising a clean energy revolution so electric car drivers don't have to go more than 30 miles to find a charging point. The UK government is also pushing a plan to make charging even more convenient. The UK could become the first country in the world to make it mandatory for every new home with a parking space to have an electric charging point.
Even without this proposal, property developers are already thinking about this and thinking about putting charging points on new homes anyway, so it's kind of a logical move.
Are you considering getting a home charger?
Yes, I am considering, yeah, because I would think it would help my working day if I had a charger at home.
But for now, he's just happy saving about $140 a week charging his cab instead of filling it up with fuel. Cindy Palm, CBS News, London.
Here in the U.S., California leads the way for the highest number of electric vehicle charging stations, with about 8,000 in all. It's also the biggest market for electric vehicles.
We'll have a final check of the weekend weather when we come back.
For reliable weather day in and day out, watch First Alert Weather.
Weekend's almost here.
Yeah, some light snow out to the west of us, but the bulk of this will probably stay west of the Mississippi River. You can see a band of heavier snow through northeastern Iowa, but it's kind of sliding toward the south and east. So just a few flurries are making it into far southwestern Wisconsin right now. Temperatures are right around freezing in Madison. Most areas are between about 30 and 35. Look for highs mid-30s for tomorrow, around 40 on Sunday. And temperatures staying above normal through all of next week and the following weekend.
Wow. All right, Gary, thanks so much. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope to see you back here at 6.